Day 2 of the first week of CCL action for the 2022 season. My name is McCormiel. With myself is Seymour Casts. And Colin, it's going to be another day of incredible matches here inside of the CCL. We've got Western Esports and UW, University of Waterloo, going up against one another here, trying to start their collegiate season off strong with a win, potentially a loss. We have no idea what to expect really from either of these teams, except just a bit more from University of Waterloo, seeing how Western Esports, they're a brand new roster coming into the CCL season.
I mean, Corn, it's the start of the year. It's day 2 of the CCL right now, so we're still kind of figuring out the building blocks. It's okay to come in with a lot of question marks. It's okay to not know what you're getting out of these teams, but this is where we're building the storylines right now. And I love that we're getting some new teams in here. Like you said, debut from Western. It's going to be a big one for the regular season. And University of Windsor, I mean, back for another year. Relatively similar roster. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, if you are just joining us for College COD, of course, we do have 2 streams going on right now. This is the Bravo stream, but on the Alpha stream at twitch.tv/College COD, you can go ahead and join Mick and I Hold Shift, as they're going to be taking you through another match right now. It's St. Clair Saints going up against Northwood Esports. We'd love to have you tabbed into both streams to be able to see both of these matches and both of the best of 5 series, but if you want to watch one or the other, you're more than welcome to do just that as well. Seeming here on the Bravo channel, though, with Western Esports and the University of Waterloo facing off instead of our first best of 5, we've got 2 matches that follow right on after. That's going to be Michigan versus Michigan State, one of the classic rivalry almost when it comes to not only just sports in general, but collegiate sports at that. And then, of course, to end out the day, we got GVSU going up against Windsor Gold. So that'll be what we have here down on Bravo. But speaking in generalistic terms of what to expect from this matchup, as we kind of just detailed a bit beforehand, University of Waterloo, they're a returning squadron from last season. They remain some of their players. But for the side of Western Esports, again, we have absolutely no idea what to expect from this team. They could be the team that comes in out of nowhere, maybe some unknown players who just have this incredible knack to play with one another and excel and fly high to the skies, or they could drop dead down below and it just would be another almost forgettable team.
Yeah, maybe to the moon. In fact, that's what we're looking at with these teams. Just try to build up those fundamentals, see where you're going for this day to day. And you know what I'm excited for the most, Corn?
What's up?
These 2 Canadian teams.
Ooh.
We didn't get a whole lot of that last year. The Canadian teams coming out, but you know what? Repping the North here, we got Waterloo and Western, 2 teams that are also relatively close to where I am. So I'd like to see them do good in the CCL. This is going to be, honestly, a feels-good match for myself.
Little Canadian for the man from Canada himself. But we'll go ahead and take a look at the head-to-head here. As you can see, neither team has played a game thus far inside of the season, but that obviously changes here with this best of 5 series. Talking a little bit about the home team in Western, it's a brand new school, as we said beforehand, from London, Ontario. Not 100% sure what to expect. That much is out of the way. At the same juncture, though, when you are going to be a Canadian team, there's at least some sort of pedigree that you would kind of expect out of a team going and performing well inside of the CCL. That's kind of what we've seen as a theme with Canadian teams. Would you kind of agree with that, just for whatever reason?
Well, I know your goal is not to just apologize and say sorry when you beat them. That's one for sure. So I think if you're Western right now, what you want to do most is turn heads. So that's what we're looking at for this squad. Like you say, brand new, debut into the regular season of the CCL, and here's the team to do so. CJ, Mojo, Ion Shady, and V Richie. So these 4, definitely, if I'm going to label anything right now, an unknown for ourselves, but they're looking to turn heads early.
Yeah, they're looking to turn heads early, and, well, we really hope they do, because it would be yet another opportunity for a team unknown to make a splash inside of the CCL, which we saw throughout the entirety of last season, including just Waterloo themselves. They were a surprise last year for how well that they performed. Unfortunately, they didn't make playoffs. That was, a bit of a rather unfortunate circumstance, but at the same juncture, you have to also go back and kind of take a look at what pool they were playing in. Some of the top teams that were in there, they made it through the first split relatively unscathed, and then it was when they got to the top cut inside of their division is when they started to falter. They fell outside of the top 8. They didn't have a chance to play through the play-in tournament, and of course, their season was ended before it could really even, I guess, get started when you talk about playoffs. So, unfortunate season last year. It was underwhelming, and I'm sure they want to improve on that this year. And as we go ahead and take a look at the roster for the side of University of Waterloo, you can see that there's 3 core players returning here for another season. FICO, Maz, and Bork. The thing is, Seymour, You lose your best Slayer if you're the side of University of Waterloo. Jovo's in, but Twix is out.
And that's scary. You know, when you're Waterloo, when you had that start of the season, that brought you into the top cut, that you kind of moved in there at the top 5. This year, it's not top 5 that gets you into the top cut. It's top 3 in your division. And when you have Carleton, York, Ryerson, McMaster, who all placed at least top 64 in the CCL 2021 season, you know you have to make moves. And the fact that you're losing Twix, putting Jovo into your roster, that's going to be a huge or something where you're just going to keep your eyes on. Jovo now needing to fill some big shoes for this roster, as Twix was rocking an average 1.7 kill-death ratio across the modes in the 2021 season. Jovo, I mean, the only thing I can really say about this team is that if they want to make this a year-to-year improvement right now into the 2022 season, you got some big shoes to fill.
Now, I'll go ahead and give you this anecdote, right? So yesterday on stream, we saw Concordia, Wisconsin take down Purdue, which was crazy. It was one of those upsets that everybody was talking about on Twitter after the game was over. And how when it was happening, we were all going, there's no way that Purdue loses this match. Now, what I kind of want to bring in with the side of University of Waterloo and tie that together with is the fact that it's a returning 3 players from the previous roster in the previous season. That's what we saw from Concordia yesterday, was 3 players that returned. Looked great. They added Matrix, and all of a sudden, the roster just soared to new heights, and of course, started the season off 1-0 with an upset against the team that went 13-1 last season. Now, if you're the University of Waterloo, it's your turn to try your hand at not only improving year over year, but being able to show everybody that instead of not making playoffs last year and just kind of flying through under the radar inside of in the top cut, all of a sudden, now you have the chance, okay, we're going to flourish in the top cup. We're going to make the playoffs, try to make a deep run because our roster is stuck together. We add somebody else. Sure, our top Slayer is gone, but that's added motivation to go ahead and find your way through new heights in this season.
That's what you want from a team. You want to push each other to be better. So University of Waterloo, that's what's on our mind for them as we look at the kind of keys to victory for both sides. It's really kind of parallels to both squads and how we're going to highlight that. If you're looking at Western, it's this unknown team. They have to keep Waterloo in that uncomfortable zone that they tend to have in those close quarter maps, especially in Vanguard, which is a high pacing on a lot of these maps. The key to victory for Western is just to keep that pacing up on your own side and keep Waterloo backed against the ropes. When you flip the tides into the away team's key to victory for the University of Waterloo, don't lose your S&Ds. You're not the best hardpoint map, especially when you lose your main Slayer. I mean, Jovo, we haven't yet seen what he has to offer to this one. But your hardpoints, they weren't your best suit last year. So search and destroys are going to be huge for this team. And on top of that, you need to focus on improving your hardpoint fundamentals as a core 4. So there's some big highlights for both sides that can really kind of turn the tide for this whole map.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And, you know, talking about, okay, for the University of Waterloo, you don't want to necessarily have to play so many close quarters and close range maps. Well, you take a look at the first 2. You got a Bocage for maps number 1 and 2. So a hard point that undoubtedly is going to be chaotic. It's going to be messy. It's going to be scrappy all the way through. A search and destroy that'll probably play around the same way. Obviously, it's not going to be as fast-paced as the hard point. Sure, it's not respawn, but 2 maps back-to-back where you're on the exact same playing field where it's very close quarters, it's very chaotic, and we saw that time and time again last year. At times, University of Waterloo struggled on those maps. So if you're Western Esports, not only, number 1, do you want to take advantage of the hardpoint mode that was relatively weak for the University of Waterloo, you want to force them to be putting themselves in bad situations when it comes to pushing up the map and maybe finding yourselves in a situation where it's a 1 versus 2 and Western Esports will catch you off guard, find themselves the rotation, getting towards the point, and then make you suffer throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a respawn, but Bocage, those attackers, they can get into the grandma's house in a matter of seconds. So it's not like you might take away the respawn ability, but it's not like you're taking away the pace that Bocage sets to it. And I like that we're starting off with Bocage for the day here on the Bravo stream. I like to highlight this as a huge icebreaker for these teams. It's a good way to get the feel of your opponent early on into the matchup. And, you know, starting with the Bocage, this is where University of Waterloo can really highlight their key to victory and show us their hardpoint fundamentals and if they've moved or if they've improved. Because you're going to need to get those rotations, and you are going to need to slay out of your mind if you want time.
And I think I'll go ahead and add to your point there when you said this was like a, you know, you're going to be able to feel out this map. It's a great icebreaker map. The thing is, right, it is, although we talk time and time again, and by the end of the year, it's going to be beating a dead horse, just talking about how chaotic this map is. The thing is a team can play this very slow, or they can play it a lot more aggressive than you're even prepared for going into Bocage. And the thing is you can not only learn about how a team's going to play search and destroy wise from that, but of course, when we get into later in the year, how teams might start to play in control, how teams might start to play on different hardpoint maps just in that series alone. So there's so much information that you can gain just from one map and how aggressive a team might play against you, or if they're going to play a bit more calculated, if they're going to play more together. And for the side of University of Waterloo, at least in the back of your mind, you know that from playing the entirety of last year, having a year to go ahead and get better going into this next upcoming season here in Vanguard, all of a sudden, now you have 3 players who are going to know how each other want to play around the map. You're going to trust each other a lot more. And that's the one thing for Waterloo that you have to engrave into your minds, is that trust throughout this whole season. One bad map doesn't matter. One bad series doesn't matter. You just have to continuously get better. We're going to see if they actually put in that work during the offseason.
You don't even have to be the best team. I mean, there are a ton of teams in the CCL that you're batting up to if you are in the middle of the pack. And some of them just have crazy skill that just, either coming from the challenger side or even ex-CDL pros, walking down in here and taking their hands to the collegiate side of things. So if you're looking for a goal into the 22 season, it's definitely just improvement for a lot of these squads. And definitely 2 teams right here, Western making their debut, Waterloo going to be looking for that improvement, like you said. Now, Corn, a lot of these people, they may have tuned in for the McMorrin meal. But I hope they stay for the Call of Duty, because the matches that we have over the next 3 series, there are going to be some banger matchups. I mean, we got a couple Canadian teams. We got Michigan State versus Michigan Wolverines, a huge rivalry in collegiate traditional sports. Hopefully that'll turn over into collegiate esports as well. I'd love to see some rivalry going through on that one. And today's just, on the Bravo stream, we have an excellent set of matchups, and honestly, I wouldn't rather share with anybody else.
Oh, stop it. You're going to make me blush here. Say more. You really are. Guys, you're not looking at him right now, but you're listening to one cute gentleman with an absolute caboose on him. But I digress. If you are just joining us for the first time, though, once again, thank you for joining us here for the CCL season. Down and below in the footnote, you can see at the bottom, it says hardpoint. Capture the hill to score points in this respawn-based game mode. Hills rotate every 60 seconds, in the first team to 250 points wins. Now, I know for the majority of you, you're going to understand what hardpoint is. You've played it. You know everything about it, and that's okay. This explanation is not for you. This is for the people that might be Call of Duty novices, might be coming in for the first time to the stream and trying to enjoy or at least figure out what's going on because their college might be playing. So as we saw at the bottom there, just look for that during the intro cinematics. You can see what it's going to take to go ahead and win a specific game, whether it's an objective-based game mode or whatnot. So as we say that, Western Esports, they'll get on the board first, but that's really not anything special when you're talking about Bocage, because the middle of the map is going to turn into a slaughterhouse, as we already see them go back and forth. University of Waterloo will win the majority of their gunfights, at least for the time being, but you look to CJ, who's on 4 in a row. One more kill, and he'll have Glide Bomb.
Strafe's going to be huge for this. 5 in a row. Can he make it 6 for the strafing run? Because a map like Bocage, very open, would be handy to have those for the future rotations. Although is brought down by Maz. A quick 3 spree from Waterloo. Only about 10 points across both teams right now off that starting hill. Expected with how contest heavy it is. You're going to be looking now to the top of your minimap as that lock is going to pop up. That is going to be here. Hill number 2. That's where we're looking at these teams to rotate to.
And look, I know it's already it's only a 5 spree at the beginning of the game. Sure, everybody's still getting warmed up a little bit, trying to sniff out what their opponents are going to be doing. But somebody who's already impressed me has been CJ. Just the centering that CJ has around the map, the ability to just get sneaky around the corners, plays a little bit ratty too. I really want to see how CJ is going to progress throughout the course of this series, because at least so far, just from the very limited amount of stuff that we've been able to see from the side of Western Esports, he's impressed me quite a bit.
You see Richie looking to set up with Western to find a break. 3 go down. He's all alone. Trying to hop over, trying to expect the player out there, but just caught in no man's land. Mojo at least going to find a trade, but the damage has been done. Here comes the short from CJ super early to break this hill number 2, pushing up the teammates into his own. Mojo and Shady are going to open up this map now. Let's see if this payoff will come through for Western. As you can see, CJ is going to hop into this hill. It's a quick 4 down now for University of Waterloo. And you look at where they're spotting up. They are going to have limited players here. Will they send them to the hill? It looks like Bork is going to take this 2 seconds of scrap time. But Western, they're going to take that and rotate over to Grandma's.
So 2 things, right? Over towards P2, I don't like the streak usage there from CJ, because you literally use a streak for about 20-25 seconds at a time. Yeah, the rest of your teammates are able to go ahead, play a bit more passive over towards the right side of the map, just set up for the rotations, but it doesn't really amount to all that much, at least in terms of hill time. So streak-wise, would love to see you use that at maybe a different point to actually break in towards the hill. That's going to be a necessary break, opposed to it just being for, 15-20 seconds at a time at the very beginning of the game. That most likely won't amount to much.
Let's see if it amounts to anything into this 3rd rotation. Western, quick to fall, still in the spawns in the back. Maz, I'm going to push this aggression as well. Meets him at the tank. Looks the wrong way. Mojo has his number 3 the other way. Western finds that break back in. 14 seconds, though, inside this Grandma's hill. And Western looking to push the lead up a little bit, but nobody is on that hill. They have to wrap on back. Waterloo, they have to be careful now. They can't allow Western to start picking up the scrap time again and again, because sometimes that's the key to Bocage.
Jova wrapping through the back, 3 in a row. Pops back into the barn. It is going to be the player ready and waiting. Ion Shady will make quick work of the player from the University of Waterloo. Maz with 2. Fico finds another. Last year, the captain for the side of University of Waterloo was Fico. But unfortunately, just a slow start here on Bocage. We don't expect that to last all that long, but one player, who continues to press, finds 3 and make it 4 in a row, is going to be CJ. Will fall once again. Unfortunately, didn't get another glide bomb. Was damn close to doing just that. 18-9. Western Esports, they've come out the gate swinging so far. I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the series.
Richie up top. Shady takes care of business on the inside. Jovo, new kid on the block here for Waterloo. 12-10 as well. Not too shabby for this team, but again, falling into their old woes here for Hardpoint. As the remainder of time, looking to go to Western. You can see those white arrows setting up for this hill number 5. But look at CJ, 20-9. He's in behind, and what do you know? He's going to find a kill as well. Ready for the second. Is going to get his gun up from the reload, but Maz still gets there first. The rotation, so far, so good for Waterloo, but a few more gunfights before they really get settled.
Work from behind. Richie going to be able to get the best of that. For the first time in this game, Western Esports has gone ahead and eclipsed themselves at triple-digit mark, so 100 on the board. 23 kills from CJ. Not a ton of objective time, but the rest of the team is going ahead and pulling that up from the rear. 35 seconds left on the point. Then we'll go ahead and rotate back to P1, which will be the start of our second set of rotations. But from behind, Bork trying to go ahead and make a pinch play. Mojo going to be the first one to fall. Beautiful shots onto CJ all the way down towards the back of the swamp side. Should be 20 seconds of nice scrap time here for this University of Waterloo. Would be big here to go ahead and set it up for the second rotation. But the thing is, right, Seymour? The one thing we always talking about is how difficult it is once you have a disadvantage on a map like Bocage to string hills together and really start to bring the game back in your way.
That's because you're just losing momentum and you're giving up score streaks as well. Jovo trying to tail his way on in. He's going to find 2. Can't get the 3rd as it is Richie still alive, not for long. 60-119, about double the score of Waterloo right now. Our Western, but Bork on the route right now and behind. Isn't able to get his gun up before Shady snaps onto him. Still some players alive here for Western. Nobody on the time just yet as Mojo's going to hop there. But again, this is Hill 1. Nobody is ever comfortable on Hill 1.
Down by about 50 points. Waterloo, not out of it just yet. For Western Esports, continue to put the slaying power forward. Driving directly into the heart of the beast right now. We talked time and time about what Waterloo could do this season. How good they could be this season. Right now, we're not seeing that potential just yet. It seems like the three-man tag team from last season just has not been able to figure it out quite enough yet. And I fear that it's potentially due to maybe either a lack of practice or they're just getting outclassed at the moment.
They have been able to string together some time over the past couple of hills, so Western, I wouldn't say they're in the home stretch just yet. As they do have quite the setup here. Mojo getting around Maz. Oh, wow. He's going to snap onto him. Find Mojo now. Maybe allowing the collapse for Waterloo to ensue. Maz into the hill. Able to find 1. Can't get to the second. CJ is going to keep trading this one out and keep this hill contested as well. On the outside, Richie able to clear this hill out for Western. But now the spawns have flipped. So Waterloo working from the backside. Western are going to be able to string now this rotation from hill 2 to hill 3 successfully, just like in the past. And you got to be worried if you're Waterloo. You need to be ready for this rotation.
CJ will hop around the corner for 2 in a row. Guess what? That breaks the 30-point, or rather the 30-kill mark, so a GG's already. You've got basically... You've got Jovo and Fico's kills combined right now if you're CJ, so... That is nice to break into a game, okay? You know, we're not going to... It's a small F. It's a small F, okay?
Just a small
not
one.
A big F,
Oof.
just a small F.
I like how you're sitting there like, I thought that was me, and I'm like, I thought that was me, and... Well, those, you know, we're back into it. It doesn't matter. 170 to 101. Still a 70-point lead right now for Western into the Grandma Hill. But once again, Western on the rotation as things are starting to heat up for this Western squad. Able to find one. CJ pieces together two. Shady and Mojo close the door on Waterloo inside this barn. But look, the spawn's a flip, so they're going to be able to reaggress onto this hill quickly once more, Corn.
Shady looks out the back double doors. Back over towards the right. Jovo will be the first to challenge around the corner. That's just a nasty kill there from Jovo to break into the barn. Allow the rest of Waterloo forward. However, as I say that, CJ will continuously tack on the kills, about a minute in time as well. So not only does CJ have 37, not only does he have a minute inside of the hill, inside of Waterloo, unfortunately, are about to be down not only by 100 points, but it's going to be 200 for the side of Western Esports, 50 points away from closing out map number 1. A brand new team inside of the CCL for season number 4. And already, they made a splash against a team that went 10-7 last year.
And CJ putting up some good numbers as well, like you said. Are things just to, once again, a head turner for this Western squad. It's something to keep your eyes on. The rotation here, I mean, hill number 5 is pretty successful for Waterloo. They found a majority time on this hill. So let's see if they can do that once more and repeat that. This time around, CJ finds the route through the tunnel, is going to hop around with Mojo, wrap this one and clear the back spawn. Shady from the top ropes, can't win out on Maz. In fact, Bork as well to join in with Waterloo to keep some pressure onto this hill. You got 33 seconds left, and this would be amazing for Waterloo if they can find the rest of it.
It'd be good for them. Like to use the word great, but unfortunately, with how far this game has gotten out of reach, at least right now, it doesn't seem like it's in the realm of possibilities.
Be a good start.
Sure. But at the same time, CJ's also piecing still. 42. I'm just going to keep counting that. Dude, like, what? Like, dude, it's things like that will just completely throw off your mentality. Because, dude, you know, he's just sprinting around the map all of a sudden. Just a random nade pops up and boom, he's dead instantaneously. This is probably the best debut I think I've ever seen for a CCL player, let alone a team. Western Esports, thus far, it's not over, but pat yourselves on the back up to this point because you were playing phenomenal.
Now it's the big question. I mean, CJ, you finish 50? You going to drop 50 here?
I hope.
That'd be something else.
Play
Here goes Mojo.
Stats. Play four
stats. We're not supposed to encourage that. We're not. 28 seconds left. CJ's going to hop on board. 44 now, making 45. Around the corner, a little bit tagged up. Is going to chow that pieces 3 together. Maz finally going to find the tray, but the damage card. Oh, the damage has been done.
Damage has been done. 22 seconds for Western Esports to take the first map. They should get the last 10 seconds of scrap time here. Maybe you have player number 2 come from behind and Bork, and you finally do. But 47 here from CJ. 3 more kills to go ahead and drop the 50 bomb. And again, in your CCL debut, another nade over the top there on Defico will fall. Mass falls in the hand of CJ. Richie around the corner. Jovo for 2, trying to hold on. But look at the game clock as well. 25 seconds left. So not only for your Waterloo are you playing against the time, you're playing against the side of Western Esports slaying numbers. And of course, now you look forward, and with just 14 seconds left compared to the 22 on the game clock, you just got to make sure the contestants don't come in. So, Ion around the corner. CJ will find another. CJ, you got to get one more for the 50 bomb. Oh, he chokes a couple of shots there. 22 seconds, 11 points left for Western to go ahead and clutch up. And I mean, you know how close he's going to spawn back towards the point, so it should be enough to find a kill. Stun around the left side. Jovo shots around the top, not going to fall. Contest in once again. Clock ticks down. 15 on the point. Jovo looking to push on forward. We hop on board with CJ now. Looking back to the barn. Oh, knows that Maz is there. Maz isn't going to anticipate it, but he chokes the shots again. Yeah, does he know that he's close to the 50 bomb? I have no clue. I wonder what it looks like in EKIA. There it is. There's number 50 for CJ. 11 points for Western. They've got themselves in the hill. Pat yourselves on the back once again, gents. What a map number 1.
Everything from this is just feel-good moments. 188, 241, but 10 seconds left in that time clock as Western looking to put this one away. Waterloo is really kind of pulled this one back into the late ends. But it seems like with the time clock against you that this is really just against them. You need one contestant to come through for a limited time. But Waterloo Corn, they are making this comeback. Finally, the break for Western as they need 7 seconds or to let that time clock drain as they're up to this one. 4 seconds left. It looks like nobody on Waterloo can touch. Western are going to put the final seconds through here on Bokash and end this out 250 to 202.
It got relatively close there at the end, and that scared me. I'm not going to lie. If there was more time on the game clock and they didn't have to just continuously fly towards the hill and make sure that they weren't playing for contest time, too, I think that we very easily could have seen maybe a bit better of a comeback. But again, that's just a testament to how Bokash plays out. As we see there, I mean, you drop over 50 in your CCL debut. Western Esports, a 1-0 lead. We now go back to the same map for Search and Destroy. We said beforehand, University of Waterloo, when it's a closer, more close-range, hot, contested maps with a lot of chaos, you're going to struggle a little bit. We saw that once again, which at least shows me just a bit that there wasn't much effort put into fixing the big glaring issues from last season, and that it's still going to be a little bit, I don't want to say stagnant, but stagnant.
And that just brings us back to the keys to victory. I mean, you need to see those fundamentals on hardpoint get worked on. So we take a look at these stats that we just saw, and the big finisher for CJ, 53 and 37, 38 non-traded kills as well, with 5,500 damage. He was putting up numbers for his teams.
Yeah, Zeba, I just wanted to attract your attention real quick to the average damage per hill. Yesterday, I was glaring at somebody who had like 390. Yeah, that's 430 right there with 1 minute and 30 seconds in the hill as well. Talk about somebody who has done not only the slaying, but also hitting the time for the team. I mean, usually, back in older times, sure, we saw somebody, you know, would sit in the hill for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Now it's everybody spreading out throughout the hill. But with 20 objective kills, 53 overall, and 1 minute 30 in the hill. You got to be feeling not only good about yourself, but that's going to be a huge confidence booster for the rest of the team going forward. I just want to know what the EKIA looks like.
I want to know what the EKIA looks like. I think everybody does. Show us the numbers. Come on, show us the numbers. Let us know. But
I want to see like a 70 bomb screenshot on the TL later on. that would be sick.
Yeah, it's like at that point, I want to know what CJ stands for. Is he just a COD jock? You know, maybe he's just used to this. This is his everyday lifestyle right now, just dropping numbers on the timeline. Western's debut couldn't have been any better unless they finished off as strong as they started. I'd say Waterloo coming back the way they did was a little bit questionable for the hard points, but like I said, their debut was nothing more than outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Colin, let me ask you this, right? I know you were doing a different match when the other match was going on yesterday with Concordia, right? But
I saw a bit of it though.
With Purdue, they won map number 1, but it was Concordia who had a very late resurgence when they were down by about almost 100 points, where it was a very similar scoreline at the very end of the game to what we just saw here. Now, if we get to a 6-4 where Western Esports is up in that margin after map 2, and then all of a sudden it's a 2-0 series, and the side of the University of Waterloo all of a sudden starts to make a comeback, I'm not going to say it's going to be weird, but I'm going to feel a little bit uneasy.
A little bit uneasy, for sure. As we're not done with Bokash yet, everybody. We're going to take another fly through. As Search and Destroy is going to be the name of the game. Bokash, the name of the map. I know this is definitely going to be a lot slower than the hard points, but expect the aggression to still be there from both squads. You want to make sure that you're not getting a little bit, you're not giving too much, but you're not also kind of taking too much at the same time. It's very weird how Bokash works on Search and Destroy, you know, the same way it's like, it's weird for hardpoint, the fact that you'll get 4 down and it seems like there's a 5th player. But Search and Destroy, you don't have to worry about the respawns. You just have to worry that there's somebody going to be on your doorstep right off the start of the round.
Offense is tricky, right? Because if you're going to push over towards the A site, you want to get there aggressively enough to where maybe you can find that first blood on somebody that's trying to get a position out towards the left side, and maybe that tank head glitch all the way in the back of the swamp, kind of where the cinematic's looking at right now. But if you push up too far, You have so many different elevated windows that you can get shot from when you're trying to make that aggressive push. So unless you're double pushing something directly over towards the A site, you're going to be forced to play a bit more passive, play for intel, and then maybe try to work a pick in that way. But at the same time, making sure you don't get picked by the defense, who's just going to be sitting in the buildings waiting for you. It's relatively basic stuff. But on Bokaj specifically, it's amplified ×2 just with how many angles there are on the defensive side and how aggressive you technically can be on defense without actually pushing out of the building. Because you can push up to like the halfway point on the map just by getting to the double doors inside of the A spot.
I was just going to brush over once again for those tuning in. Western University, University of Waterloo going head-to-head right now in their map number 2 inside this best of 5. As a hard point prior to this was Western's victory, 250 to 202 with CJ, an SMG player, putting up 53 kills. Something that's just not always seen here in the College COD League, Alex. And I think that if I'm going to highlight anybody going into the search and destroy, if Western want to keep up the success, CJ's got to be the guy to do it, to open things up for his team. I mean, he did it on the hard point. There's nothing in my mind that doubts he can do it again now.
I mean, hell, that also begs the question, though, like is anybody on the side of Western an S&D star by any chance? You know,
maybe.
Like some people, you know, you play decent enough in hardpoint to get wins. How about you go to a search and destroy map that you're at least somewhat feasible on, and all of a sudden, boom, you drop 12, 15 kills inside of an S&D game. It happens all the time. It happens a lot more than you'd think. But we talked really good about Western so far, right? But I don't want to take anything away from the side of Waterloo either when it comes to the slaying department that we saw inside of Bokaj on the last map, simply due to the fact that Jobo in his debut also dropped a 40 bomb. Let that be known. It was still a loss, yes, but everybody from Waterloo is still slaying out. It was a close game at the end of the day. The comeback still was very much alive. If they played a little bit better throughout the mid portion of that game and didn't allow Western to really take that big gapping lead that we saw with 100 points at a certain point, then boom. Maybe Waterloo has a 1-0 lead in the series, but it's fun to play the hypotheticals. It's not what we have in front of us. But again, let's not take anything away from what Waterloo did in map number 1, because we had a very good performance from pretty much every single player across the board.
You're
specifically
right.
Jovo, who comes in, who we were hyping up at the very beginning, saying he has a large shoe to fill because Twix is gone, who was leading all the statistics when it came to KDs on every single mode.
I think it's important to highlight the fact that they were there, and that brings up the question on, well, they were slaying. What were they missing? And in that hard point, especially on a map like Bokaj, where you could really get ahead of yourself, I think that objective efficiency has to be the talk of the town for a game mode, especially like Vanguard. If you're getting the kills, I mean, you have a limited window to find that time on Bokaj. And if you're Waterloo going into the next couple of hard points, you've been finding those windows. Now you need to just jump through them and get that time. The objective efficiency definitely was there towards the later end of the game, but you bring up the point that it needs to be there throughout the whole consistency of the game. Now we're going to hop into this map number 2, already deep into the first round, as well as it looks like bombs going down for Waterloo in a 2v2.
Time restriction, 40 seconds left. Ion, kill on to Fico. 1 versus 2 here from Maz. First one will fall. Second one, aggressively challenging. Maybe flies up the staircase from behind, but no, wraps back to the spawn. Mojo, play this a little slow. You know you have to get Maz, simply due to the fact that you still have to get the defuse at the same time. Nothing in the tunnel. Oh, just playing inside of the corner. You don't know he's in middle map, and there it is. There's the first kill. The team that plants goes ahead and takes the round. Offense prevails here for the side of Waterloo.
Trying to think of the thing that Mick says all the time. Check your corners and protect your borders. That's what he says.
True.
I mean, this is how many years of Call of Duty? You got to check those corners. On Bokaj, they could be anywhere. It's a game of hide and seek, but you check them until that last spot that Maz was at, and you lose the round. It's a big bounce back for Waterloo, taking that map number 1, or round number 1 here. It's at Bokaj. Maz dropping 3 in that as well. And the bomb plant early, giving them that time to work with here on the attack. Western pushing that A side again. Richie opens up onto Fico.
CJ gets onto the site. Still a 3 versus 4. Bomb is going to go down. Audio cues will come through here. Defensive side will know there's at least one player on the B site. Oh, but guess who's there? CJ. Instantaneously. wants to go ahead and piece up a couple more players. Great shots from Bork. You're out of bullets, though. No ammo left in the mag. Western Esports retaliates with a round of their own 1-to-1 trade offenses back and forth. But, I mean, you mentioned it beforehand. If you want to go ahead and win another S&D, guess who's going to be there? CJ finds 3 in the round that needed to go ahead and equalize.
I was going to say, of course it's CJ. Of course. Everybody that you're going to keep your eye on, he just drops 3 in that round to answer back from Maz's 3. Well, that all started with Richie. You know, that push to A was well executed from Western. You expect that player to be in that window top grandmas. You find that first pick. You get into the A site, put that bomb down. Now with the player disadvantage, it allows CJ to just wrap around the map. And look where he is this time. Right at the front door of Grandma. As soon as anything happens around that, he's going to burst on out.
I told you, that's exactly what... Oh, Maz! Big 2-piece. That's what I was saying about the A site. You can get so aggressive and push up... Oh, my God. Great timing behind 2. Gets the second. 1 versus 4. Oh, I thought maybe, just maybe, the slide cancel could have worked. You slide around, you hit fire the player coming through the double doors from behind. What could have been a magical round turns, unfortunately, into a round that should have been won in the first place by Waterloo.
I was highlighting CJ there. You know, I was waiting for him to... He was waiting for the right information. By the time the information comes out, he loses so many players that you open up the door and it's a welcoming committee of Waterloo players. And, I mean, nothing really to highlight from that. Western, they just got pieced too early. The execution of the site didn't even come through. So, back onto attack. Western right through the front door, and Maz is there to shut down CJ.
Okay, well, Shady finds 1. Mojo hopefully can get a trade. The answer actually turns into a fat no megalol. But if you're CJ there, you got to recognize that if you're going to be sprinting through the double doors in the bottom of the A site, there's probably going to be somebody there. You played that one just a bit too fast. I get you were trying to play past maybe somebody who's going to be playing in the left corner. But if you're going to be pushing that as aggressive as that, not only do you have to slide in and check that corner, but you got to make sure that through the front door, there's just not going to be someone holding a long angle all the way back at the end of the corridor that's just going to be able to poop you down in half a second.
Back on the offense now, Waterloo. 2 in a row after back and forth early into this game from Western. Looks like this is the same formation we saw in their last round on attack. Looking for a mistake out of Western. Mojo's going to give himself up. They know there's a player to be. Maz actually, in fact, spots him, and Mojo walks to his death. That's going to be the opening now for Jovo to move even closer to the B site.
Jovo can just slowly start to work up the map. The rest of the team can join forces. They're still trying to work this over towards A, and oh my goodness, the diversion was perfect. Everybody from Western Esports was debated all the way across the map. And now you have a free plan back over at A. But you got to make sure you push up and get that bomb down fast enough, because everybody's starting to make the pinch around now, and you just got to hope that Bork can make the play from behind. You finally get that kill. Now it's a 1 versus 3 from Shady. All the way in the back of the spawn. Bomb finally goes down. It took them long enough.
They just wanted to make sure it's safe and sound. But Western did a great job at rotating from site to site. You know, as soon as they lose out on Mojo, you're going to send your players over to make sure that the execution's not following through with that kill. They get baited, and Richie had a chance to make a big play on the rotation. It's a heads up from Bork to watch that flank, shot down Richie, and then Waterloo only need to keep their eyes ahead from the players pushing in. The little thing to highlight is that even with all the success from Waterloo, I mean, talked about Jovo, the new kid on the block, 0-4, and they're still getting it done. You need to see Western start to pick it up here. And looking at Mojo in that 1-5 slot, he has that kind of leadership mentality, it looks like, from this, but he is only going to drop that smoke and allow for this bomb plan.
You just need one explosive play for Western Esports. That's the win condition right now. Sure, you want to win a few offensive rounds. Defense would be really nice, too. They haven't been able to do that at all here in the Search and Destroy thus far. However, Shady will find the first in the round. Technical trade is out. CJ will find his demise as well. So Fecal and Maz, both on the site. The defuse going to come through. Is anybody going to be able to check it? Oh, he hops off the bomb, though. First one's going to fly on through. Maz going to look for the last couple of players. Maybe, just maybe, you fly around the corner. But you are going to hear that audio cue. Slides out. Oh, in the middle. Oh, my goodness, he gets it. And the defuse as well. 5 in a row from Maz. The ace in the round. And guess what, Seymour? Guess what?
What?
Not only do you have a glide bomb, but you know that big bomb play that I needed from the side of Western? Nah, Waterloo's gonna have my back. They're gonna do it for themselves. They need this the most. 1-1 to the series. It's gonna be looking like that here in the round.
I mean, the big talking point that you had, Alex, was S&D stars. Do they exist in these teams? Well, Maz is letting us know. He runs Bocage right now. CJ might have had the hard point, but this is the Maz show. 11-2 on 5 in a row. Has that glide bomb, and with as much comfort right now of a lead that Waterloo has, they can use this streak to maybe open this up, try something cheeky. In fact, they're just going to run it right down in mid and overwhelm CJ.
I guess who's there for a trade? It's Maz. Will escape with a life, turns around a middle map, somehow still alive. Jovo finds a trade onto Richie because he holds the angle, and oh, they almost lined up perfectly, but that's going to do it for the search and destroy. The aggressive play didn't work out in hardpoint at first, but here on the search and destroy, it didn't matter. The University of Waterloo overwhelms and overtakes the western side of things. We'll go ahead and tie this series up 1 apiece, and we are back on even footing once again, Seymour.
You really get to see the two parallels of a Bocage map. You know, you look at a hard point, and there is no strategy. It's just go, go, go. Just keep going, keep getting kills, and keep getting time. And then that search and destroy, you get to flex your brain a little bit. Maj just shows one step ahead. I love Waterloo's approach to that map against Western. They take the pack of wolf mentality, overwhelm CJ in the front of Grandma's, and then you trust your team. You know, you've been playing with them for a whole season. Adding Jovo to the roster, you trust them to get your trades. The trades come through. Jovo gets 2 to start, or 2 in that last round to close things out as well. So everything's kind of wrapping around this team. You know, a big key to victory we had. Don't lose your search and destroy. So the University of Waterloo, they say, okay, we can do that. Let's just 6-1 them.
Well, you met your first win condition, or at least half of the win condition. Now you got to find the second one. Steal a hard point. Make sure that you're able to steal a hard point against the side of Western Esports. We've seen time and time again. Tell me, how many teams have we seen that are incredible at hard point just fall apart completely in search?
Often.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? For the side of Waterloo, apparently they've been working on search and destroy. Bork, Moss, great games right there. Fantastic way to go ahead, open the series wide open once again. Because although it was a relatively close hardpoint and you really started to make the comeback in map number 1, you couldn't get it done. Here in map 2, they take care of business. They kick Western Esports out of their high horse, and now we're back to 1-1, going back to another hardpoint. And folks, if you are wondering why we're playing hardpoint for map number 3, I know it's still early in the season, but we still don't have control live inside of the game right now in order to play it. So that is, of course, why we are using hardpoint as our technical third game mode and simulating it as a respawn. Either way, though, talking about that third map, hardpoint, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Western Esports, University of Waterloo, they'll try to go ahead and best each other once again to take that coveted lead to a 2-1 advantage on McCormill at Seymour. You're watching the CCL Season 4. Welcome back, friends. It's been a fun series thus far. 1-1 in the series we go. Seymour is smiling so much over there, ear to ear. Oh, man, he loves breaks. I do too, but at the same time, you know what I love more? I love a series that could potentially go down to the wire. That's what we got so far. Western Esports, they won map number 1. The University of Waterloo, they won map number 2. There's really not much else to it except that this series is tied up 1 apiece. We've had some outstanding individual performances, but team-wise, throughout the entirety of the series so far, it hasn't been necessarily the most composed, I think we could go ahead and say.
No, we've seen polar opposites, in fact, from the hard points of the search and destroy. We've seen the best of both teams on 2 separate game modes. The fact that we're going back to hard point is the Westerns looking to pick up in their success that they found on Bocage and repeat that. So let's look right now at what we got so far through this series. Just a little bit of a recap for anybody tuning in. It was Bocage, hard point, and search and destroy to start off this series. And I mean, Western opened it up with a huge 250-202 with CJ on the team, dropping 53 kills. Kind of unheard of, you ask me, but I mean, Bocage
in a debut, nonetheless.
And a debut, too. Bocage, you know, sometimes it just delivers numbers like that. And they moved on to the search and destroy, where Western kind of fell short. Kind of fell farther than short. And then they lose out 6-1 with Waterloo having an absolutely amazing bounce back right into the series to leave us even heading into our now swing map in Gavatu.
Yeah, and you have to look back to the performance on Bukaj instead of the search and destroy by Maz because it was incredible. 12-2 throughout the entirety of the map. It made quick work of the offense, made quick work of the defense, and it really just dismantled the entirety of what Western Esports was trying to even throw at the side of the University of Waterloo throughout that game. So now, as you mentioned, Gavutu, Hardpoint, back to our respawn once again. Western, it seemed like that's where they excelled the most. Would love to see that once again, but if the University of Waterloo can channel their search and destroy energy, use that team comp to go ahead and make sure that they can finally secure themselves a hard point, I see it very difficult for Western being able to win this series because their search and destroy, albeit it was only one map, didn't look up to par for what Waterloo was throwing at them.
And folks, if you want your school to channel in your student spear bomb energy, let them know. Hashtag CCL 2022 on Twitter. Cheer for your team, cheer for your school, and even in chat, show that school spirit. It's a new season of CCL. Everybody's here for it. I know the staff is absolutely ecstatic, and my own sense, I love seeing the school spirit on board. So let your team know you're rallying behind them and you want them to take this. Heading into Gavutu is going to be big for both of these, and you want them to come out swinging on both ends. You saw Waterloo were able to find their momentum towards the end of Bokaj, and in Gavutu, it's something where you don't want to allow a team to get as big as the lead as Western did right away.
You know, there's one thing for school spirit. There's another thing for copy pastas. I think I prefer copy pastas in the chat with school spirit.
Oh, both.
Kind of antagonize everything. And if you haven't visited the Alpha channel, I don't know if they're doing copy pastas right now, but I'd assume they probably are to some degree. Either way, though, hey, guess who's there? CJ. Snaps back around, looks up towards the top of the flat gun instantaneously. Knew there was a player up there, but wasn't able to go ahead and find the kill onto Fico. As you find those first 2 kills to open things up, Shady's going to go ahead and find yet another kill to make it 3 in a row. 2 more for a glide bomb. One more on top of that would be full streaks for the fighter pilot to go along with it. Great start for Western, though. Should, if they hold the rest of this, and I think they will, because everybody from the side of Waterloo is going to be able to rotate here. We're going to have 48 seconds in total.
CJ better be careful, Gordon. I'm about to start calling him CJ two-piece because every single time he's alive, he's always walking away with at least 2. As CJ is able to find a trade on a Fico. Now for the break on Western, looking at the second LTS hill, is Waterloo to stabilize and start getting some time under their belt. You can see the second hit now for Western right through the front. Mojo opens up on a Fico. Richie keeps this hill uncontested right now as it's Maz for 5 straight to allow Waterloo to hold on to things for a short while. Finally, the break comes through. Waterloo going to be in the hill.
Eddie once again looking to hold down time with the rest of the roster. First player pushes. Fico falls instantaneously. Jovo will fall to the hands of Mojo, and now it's back to the respawn block. You got one more player left alive. Maz. Player who saved the S&D for the side of Waterloo, unfortunately won't be able to be a hero in the bottom of the ship. We'll leave the side with Western Esports once again finding the majority of time and the scraps. We look over towards P3 now. A streak going to be used here from the side of Waterloo to maybe try and break in towards the point. Fico with 2. Orc's going to try and find one all the way from behind down onto the beach. Finally, they'll break in. That's a fantastic start for Waterloo to get themselves the majority of time here on P3. Really, the only thing you got to do now is hold it down, something they just haven't been able to do thus far.
No, that's it. It's another early streak from Waterloo that does not pay off like we saw in Bokaj. And you can see Western immediately. They just nullify that streak, get it off the board, and they break in with ease. Mojo up top in that sniper nest is only going to be good for 1. CJ, they're on the hill, backing up Shady in the inside. Finally clear. Jovo is going to take down his own teammate, but not before Shady is cleared out from that. So Western still having trouble holding on to things, solidifying this point, but they are going to get the majority of time inside this beach hill, looking to eclipse the 100-point marker and even get these rotations to the next hill.
Here's the thing, right? I look at a lot of the hardpoint maps inside of this game, and I look back to the Cold War statistics that we have from the University of Waterloo in Season 3 of the CCL. Thing was, Waterloo loved Raid. It was kind of their do-or-die map. Most of the time, they were going to be able to live, breathe, and die by it, and that was true. Hardpoint, 6-4, 5-3 throughout the S&Ds on Raid, and then, of course, when it came to Control, they were 7-1. If there's one map inside of or instead of Vanguard, that at least somewhat, and I mean somewhat, plays like Raid, because really none of the maps do. I would at least kind of give that credit to Gavutu, simply because of how long the rotations are across the map, in the way that you are able to play a longer and shorter range game depending on which hill that you're trying to push to. So this would seem, at least basing it off of statistics from last year, to where Waterloo would be able to excel. Thus far, anything but that.
And it just goes back to what we need to see change from them, their fundamentals. Like, in this map, the rotations are there inside Gavitu, but they're starting to fall behind in the kill factor, something that they weren't doing in either the Bokages. So Gavitu, definitely not their map right now, as Western now a whole 110 plus lead, as another 4 piece is going to be into that kill feed. A lot of purple out here on the beaches. And with this rotation, finally getting the LTS ship, Bork's going to hop on down, look to siege this hill, hops on in. CJ's there to shut him down. 40 seconds left on this hill, and Waterloo, they barely can touch it.
Western Esports continuously running up the score here. Just, it really hasn't even been fair throughout the entirety of the map. CJ not even having the great game like we saw on Bacage, but everybody else has not only just been playing the hill so perfectly, but it's the amount of kills that they get in quick succession that really changes the entire pace of this game. If you're looking at Western Esports, you know, it's those 2-3 pieces that you get. You're able to hold down a large majority of the hill, and then the last person from Waterloo, they don't want to push up just yet. They want to make sure that they're going to be able to push with the rest of their team when they come back off spawn. So it's not going to be a necessarily high-slaying game that's going to be the name of what Western Esports have had to do. It's literally just getting wipe after team wipe, and then just running the score up and waiting for them to push back over towards the hill. Waterloo has not had an answer for it. This has not been a hard point that I expected from Waterloo, let alone the Western Esports roster. I mean, this is a thrashing.
This is thrashing. This is finesse. They're dancing right now inside the hill. Finally, Jovo breaks. But right back into it. The Kadesh Sun's there, so Jovo's able to clean up CJ. Snaps back out for the slide. Nobody's going to be home to answer the call. Mojo takes him down, but back into the shoes is Maz. He hops into the hill for what could be the finishing 21 seconds. As soon as he peeks that, Shady has him on lock. Waterloo barely holding on to this hill, and Western, what started off so hot, you have to be thinking back at that Bocage, Alex, because the second half of Bocage, or like, I guess the third half of Bocage, because of how contested that map was, Waterloo pulled things back. I know, yeah, it was a lot of damage to pull things back in, but could be seeing a repeat here as Waterloo got a good chunk of time on that hill number 1. Now they just need to be able to break in this hill too.
I like that. Alice has a nice ring to it. Is that your little pretty nickname for me now? Alice?
I called you Alex.
I heard Alex.
What do you mean?
Hey, we'll go back and review the VOD footage later. Shady, down below. Looking for a few players maybe jumping down from above. Not really enough to win it off of this hard point right here, but I mean, you'll basically be 10 points away from it, so it doesn't really matter what you do at this point. Right now, Waterloo, you just got to start thinking to the next map, the next hard point that's coming your way. But with how spread out that first map was, what we're seeing here now on Gavutu, then going all the way to our next map, which, if you aren't 100% sure, will go ahead. I just completely lost my train of thought of where my map was. Oh, it will be a Tuscan. Thank you. And that's not going to play this at all.
To 82. Corin, this is a one-sided affair here on the beaches. Fico's going to follow. CJ pieces another 2-piece together for this break on Western. Maz trying to keep his team above water. As Jovo here for the backup. Mojo finds Maz on the cross. Opens up the site now. CJ finds that player rotating in. It's going to be Bork now looking to re-aggress into this hill. And this could be where they ended here. Only 10 seconds left, and Tuscan's going to be up next.
Oh, yeah, Tuscan's up next. Nobody from the side of Waterloo is going to be even close to trying to contest this point. 3 seconds left. 2-1. Western Esports to 50-87. They'll command the lead once again in the series. 2-1 over the side of Waterloo. No search and destroy up next to be able to try and equalize things out here. If you're Waterloo, you got to go through the daunting task of winning one of your worst game modes, or your worst game mode, to force a game 5, which, hey, I'm not going to complain if we get there, but
I won't.
It's the premise of getting there that's going to be what is in the way. And, oh boy,
You
yikers.
know, now, Corn, you need to see both of these teams overcome their hardest obstacles. Well, Waterloo, if they take this hard point, they have already climbed a lot of barriers that they've had trouble getting over into the past. And then you go to that map 5, and it's a search and destroy. And what do we see in Western's debut? A 6-1 loss on Bokash Search and Destroy. So if it does go to the map 5, then both of these teams are going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles.
Absolutely, and I think you make a very good point there, not only sheerly due to the fact that Western Esports hasn't really shown anything other than a hardpoint statistic for us, but the fact that, you know, what happened to Waterloo? That's my question. Because last year, like, again, hardpoint was their worst game mode. We knew that coming into this series, but the fact that nothing really changed from last year going in not only to this season, but the fact that in a game where you have a chance to take control of a series, it's not even close, and you get point clubbed after a very close map number 1 hardpoint and a comeback that almost came to fruition. It leaves a lot of questions for me to be asked here, and I'm not probably going to get answers this series. It's probably going to take me at least halfway through the season to really learn if the side of Waterloo truly was able to get back in the lab and work on things going into the season.
You don't have that much time, though, this time around. And whereas last season of CCL, you were able to sneak through that top cut. This time, only the top 3 from your division are going to make it there. So if you need to if you're going to make those changes to turn things around and get to that top cut, you need to make them relatively fast this season inside 2022.
Yeah.
So Waterloo going into this Tuscan, this is where they need to dig deep. This is where they need to turn things around for themselves into the series and set up for that game 5 because their search and destroy looked impeccable.
Yeah.
They had Western against the ropes on Bokash S&D. There's hard points, though. It's just they're lacking in a team core fundamental of getting to the hill and stringing together a few kills to make yourself comfortable. As soon as you get there on the rotation, there's always somebody on Western Esports to find 1, maybe even 2 kills and just disrupt the whole flow of Waterloo inside a hardpoint. At Toscan, it could be something to change up. I mean, this is definitely, in my eyes, probably one of the better hardpoint maps that we do have inside the rotation. And I think that Toscan is definitely going to be where we see rotations shine. If Waterloo can do that again this time around and start picking up the kills that we saw in Bokash, this might be a different turnaround for their squad. They just need to kind of replicate what they did in Bokash and Gavatu and piece it together.
I kind of want to go back to the point that you made beforehand about the fact that you need to win more faster this season than what we've seen previously, because, you know, the stakes are the same. They're just as high as they were last year of the amount that you're playing for at the end of the year, what it means to get to the playoffs. But at the same time, if you want to make those goals into realities, this year is completely different in the fact that less teams are going to have guaranteed rides there. Less teams are going to have opportunities put in front of them to clutch up when they need it the most. And you don't think that at the beginning of the season, starting 0-1 is going to be that big of a detriment. And to some teams, it might not be. But to some schools that are going to be riding just on that bubble, where it's going to be the first 4 in, last 4 out type of situations we see in college football, college basketball all the time, it's one of those moments to where you've got to make sure that you win every single game that's put in front of you, or at least you try your damn best to force that to a map 5.
Whew. Here comes CJ flying around the corner. Still split kill feed back and forth into the hill number 1. Maz is going to get in for the Kadeshin. 4 seconds early. There's the break. Mojo around the corner. Got to finish those kills. There he has it. Maz, headshot. Lock that down. 3 go down at Waterloo, and Mojo now playing frontline to these respawns. As you look at the mini-map, Corn, this is an early flip at a Western.
Streaks potential on the table already. But as I say that, of course, the player will fall. Richie up in towards the top. You look down to the bottom of middle map. You see 2 players there. You're about to have a one-on-one gunfight over towards P number 5. You'll find the kill on a Jovo. So you hold on to the right portion of the map. Actually, just kidding. Just kidding. Throw that notion out the window. I lied. Love spawns.
Indeed. Indeed, Corn. Well, Jovo in the back is going to secure things, though, with the kill on the Mojo. Bork now. Hello. Little window shopping right there for his MP40. He's going to find the better end of Shady. Now 3 down for Western. Look at them spawning deep into the church. CJ trying to make moves. Actually finds Maz in the back. Setting up for the rotation. And look at that. Western are going to invest this glide bomb just to get that information on where these spawns are coming through and get this hill under control. It's a big piece from Jovo and Maz to keep Western away from the hill, but the break still comes in nonetheless.
My question is if I told you that CJ was on a 6 spree to start a hard point, would you believe me?
Yes, I would after what we saw in the past.
Well, that's all I needed to know. 8-2 to start off the hard point here. 40-14, running the score up once again. Sure, you break in, you get the scrap time, and that's fine and dandy. Now it's Mojo's turn, though, to not only be the route man, but to be the player that the side of Western Esports need to break into P3. However, unfortunately, the head glitch in the back was too much. A nice kill there from Jovo allows the side of University of Waterloo to at least hold on to this hill for just a bit of time. Western Esports have pushed all the way through P1. It's going to be a 3-man hit straight up through the middle of the map. Maz shots there, but Richie rips him off with the head glitch. And now it's going to be Fico, who's coming all the way from the back of the spawn, once again, hitting on towards the point. But guess who? It's CJ. He's found the first shots onto one, wants to turn around. You know the last one's in the spawn. The stun is there. The teammates are there for the help. And now you look back to middle map. The collapse comes in. And another clean break for the side of Western Esports with 35 seconds to spare.
CJ needs to get checked, Corn. He is just running rampant right now in Tuscan, and you know, in every map that we've seen so far, he's the X factor for Western Esports, and he's just the slippery snake that Waterloo cannot tame at the moment. Waterloo has their attention over to the rotation where Shady has slipped the line in the back line. 4 and 7, not the best start to it, but Western still with a marginal lead. Jovo able to clean things up into the back line and secure it out. Caught swapping weapons, and it's nobody else than CJ to find that trade. Here comes the collapse now from Western. Richie from the side door. CJ's going to drop in. Fico might have just locked things down for a short moment.
Gotta make sure, figure this out of Waterloo, that you can't let these breaks happen over and over and over again. Every single time Western Esports has had an in towards a point, they've left with the hill time at around 35 seconds. And most of that time beforehand was contested time. And that's why we continuously see the score continue to run up for Western Esports. It's why we see Waterloo always on the back foot. The slaying's just not there. It's great calculated team efforts when it comes to these hits that Western Esports are making towards every single hard point. I'm just wondering where the hell that was in the search and destroy.
Something slipped up in that game number 2 that I'm sure Western are trying to forget. This Mojo now has right to the command center. Big one-on-one here against Bork, and it's actually a crossfire with Richie. Shots to the wall. Fico's there. Mojo ready to fly. Here it goes. Slides on out. CJ and Richie get there before he can find those kills, and now eclipsing 100 points. Western Esports with 50 seconds on this clock. They can push this to about a lead that seems unwinnable. CJ in the back. CJ in the back. 6 spree for himself. Finds all 4 at the end of his barrel.
But maybe, just maybe, CJ was going to continue that streak all the way back by P2. Fortunately for the side of Waterloo, it only ends at 6. But as you have more streaks now being earned by Mojo, you finally take that player out, so no strafe run. Ooh, big whoop. You have a glide bomb to work with now. That's all the intel in the world and more, with opportunities for kills at every which way. Shady will look to middle map, but Jovo comes through from behind. A little nice play to come through the church. But guess what? Here comes the glide bomb. As we'll be working all the way back over towards the fountain. You've got 2 different players there trying to look either with the glide bomb and or the player that was head glitching on the fountain. Sure, the side of Waterloo is set up in this hill, but look at all those purple arrows starting to make this play through middle map. You get this last player down, and Fico, well, you already have your route through middle map. You just got to get these last 2 kills. It should be easy pickings, and it is. Last one there is going to be player number 4. Maz will fall instantaneously. Western Esports, guess what? They broke in again.
Something we've been saying all day long, Corn. Doesn't seem like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. Mojo, the strafing run, the kills for Western, just lighting up that feed. CJ's going to piece 2 together once more as the break starting to form for Waterloo. Shut down at the front line. CJ pushing into the back. 29, make it 30 on another 4 spray. Can he get the straight? No, Bork watching him like a hawk. Shots him down before the glide bomb can be inserted into his arsenal. And now Waterloo, you better hope you can dig deep into this hard point, because you need something to bounce back into the Tuscan and push you to a map 5.
Look, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing a map number 5 here, Seymour. I love to be optimistic about teams. I love to talk possibilities for comebacks. But Western Esports, they've looked too good throughout the entire game, every single time. 2, 3, 4-man hits on each and every point to break in. And now with just 45 seconds on so sure, you won't be able to win necessarily off of this point, but at the same time, Waterloo, you're just trying to do everything you can to try and sprint towards this point. You're just going to start throwing bodies here. You don't even care about the trades. You're just trying to keep this series alive. It's just not going to happen like that. Western Esports are too close to victory now in order for Waterloo to come back.
It would be something for the ages. I mean, after what we saw yesterday, for this to follow it up would be quite inspirational. For that, Jovo's going to find CJ now, starting to collect this time and soak things up our Waterloo. But the win condition, it's there for Western. You just need to rotate. You need to lock things down. In fact, Bork's going to be here to try to keep the pressure up. He's going to be ready for the player in the back. Doesn't need to be. Mojo's going to put some shots into him. Shady's going to finish him up. And Western string together these kills. Fico, last player here. Bork gets the spot in the back, and Jovo does too. Waterloo, they just might have been blessed.
Might have been blessed. Nade will slow them down for a second. Bork will be weak. Gonna have to take a second for Western Esports to be able to double back to this point. You want to wait for the rest of the team and the reinforcements to show up. Bork, beautiful shots and a kill there onto Mojo. You look back over towards the left. Bork again. Oh, you turn around. You can't find the player on the staircase. All the way in the back. I thought Jovo might have been able to do it. Finally, you find the trade, and you're still able to get this time. But the problem right now is, Seymour, with Western Esports, you just rotate over towards the next hill. You get the first 10, 15 seconds on all the respective hills. It's going to be good enough for you to be able to win this game. But look at what Jovo's doing. And I love that we hopped on board with him here, because this could be the flank that sets up the rest of the game. Shady looks to the back. Jovo will win the gunfight. That's going to be enough for the side of Waterloo to get in towards the church, but they let a costly amount of time go to the side of Western Esports all the way back over towards the other hill, because that just puts them within 14 seconds of getting the dub.
Mojo in the back line here. CJ setting up for the pinch from the side. The collapse is set. The trap is there. Now Waterloo, are they going to fall for it? Inside the hill, Maz gets shots on. Can't finish this up. Pass some reinforcements around the corner. Shady, the break on in. Now 10 seconds left, and Western are going to put this series in the history books for them to take their first ever win here in the regular season debut of your CCL. 3 seconds remaining. The contention comes through. Mojo's going to put it down. Western Esports, they make their CCL debut. One to remember, with some flashy plays, with some dominant maps, and a big one to start off their season.
So many exclamation points from the side of Western throughout this series. We just go back to map number 1. The 53 bomb from CJ. Hey, guess what? 40 on Huskin. Ooh. In a game that was 250 to 113. We got to our second set of rotations. We didn't even have to go to a third set. We were only like halfway through our second set, too. That's the thing. And to drop 40 kills within that time period, this kid's special. There's something about CJ that I'm going to be looking forward to watching if Western gets back on the stream. I hope I can go ahead and see it once again, because this is going to be a player that you need to watch out for throughout the entire year. Teams that are going to be playing against the side of Western Esports, hey, rule number 1, when it comes to hard points, when it comes to respawn, shut down CJ.
Oh, yeah. And you know, it kind of reminds me, Corn, of, I don't know if you remember back in Modern Warfare for the CCL, it was Priestley on St. Clair.
Yeah.
You know, he comes in, you know, Canadian player, and he turns heads for the team as a scary slayer for that St. Clair team. Well, CJ here for his debut, I think he's turned heads right now in the CCL. I was asking for Western, you know, as a big unknown right now going into the series, are they going to be able to turn heads? Well, that's been answered, and it was answered with a fat yes.
2 big takeaways. Number 1, Western Esports, they look quite good. For Waterloo, though, a team last year that was 10-7 overall, almost made the playoffs, just barely weren't able to get through inside of their own top cut. Here's the thing. Your hard point, still your weakest link overall. There didn't seem like there was a map besides maybe Bacage, because that map is just going to always be so chaotic, that you really were able to find success on, really catch your stride, and give Western Esports a run for their money. Now, you go back to the drawing board. As we mentioned before the start of that Tuscan hardpoint, you cannot fall behind early on in the season like you could last year. There was ample opportunity to be able to go ahead and find your stride midway through the season and truly be able to make playoffs. This time, the stakes are high all the way from the beginning, not because there's so much good talent inside of the CCL, but because every single series actually matters a ton throughout the whole season, not just the first half. Hey, you know what? We'll get the top cut. We'll be riding. We'll be chilling and stuff like that. It's not like that anymore. No. No, it's a bloodbath into the CCL this season. We'll go ahead and take a look back at the maps real quick, but that's one thing I need to say for this out of Waterloo. If they do go back and watch this spot, if they are listening, or if anybody is listening for this out of Waterloo, please tell them they need to work on their hard point, and it has to be expeditiously.
You said we look back at the maps. It was a hardpoint fiesta for Western. 250 to 202 on Bocage, 250 to 87 on Gavitu, and 250 113 on Tuscan. That search and destroy, the only hiccup, and, well, it was a large one. Waterloo, they took a deep breath. They 6-1 them, and they looked to bounce back, but heavy mental for this Western squad. That Gavitu was an exclamation mark for them to pull things back in their own momentous way, and that makes me excited for the rest of the season. I mean, you highlight how hard it is to make it into the top cut. Well, once you're there, in this division, you got a lot of teams to meet you that are actually really strong. I mean, Carleton, York, Ryerson, McMaster, all placing at least top 64 and all in your division. I mean, it's not only Waterloo that you have to be worried about if you're Western. I mean, in your CCL debut, there are a lot of juggernauts that you have to go toe-to-toe with, and you're going to have to overcome them.
Not only was it top 64 finishes, it's further deeper pushes into the playoffs by those teams. And we just mentioned, 4 or 5 teams? Remember, only the top 3 make it into the top cut. So if you want to talk about teams that you're going to have to beat down the road, well, Western just got added to the list of another opponent that just knocked you a peg further down that leaderboard. So 3 teams, you want to be a part of that? If the answer is yes, got to get in the lab, got to figure things out, and it's got to be quick. That's the bottom line.
Yes, it does, Corn, but for that first match, it was one-sided affair for Western, and they made it look good for the new time in. And coming up next, it's going to be one for the ages here on CCL. Ooh. Michigan State versus Michigan Wolverines. I mean, that speaks for itself, does it not?
It speaks volumes. Not just because it's, it's Michigan and Michigan State. They're close to each other. It's esports. No, look, we've had this rivalry for decades now in just traditional sports. It comes over to esports too. Neither of these teams wants to walk away with that ego being hurt a little bit, saying, hey, the sister school just, kicked our it's like, you don't want that to happen. You don't want that to carry through. So either way, that is a whole different discussion that we'll have here in just a moment. In the meantime, though, we are going to kick things to a break while we set up our second series of the day. In the meantime, if you are looking to stay up to tune with even more CCL action, we still have the alpha stream going on at twitch.tv/College COD. So go check that out. I don't think that series has ended just yet, but either way, have both the streams open. Have yourself a good time. It's a Tuesday night. Enjoy some College COD. We'll be back in just a moment. My name's McCormill with Seymour. You're watching Season 4 of the CCL.